Hi there, this is Linda from Let's Talk Prepping, and I want to talk today about the food shortages that we know are coming, how people are going to be starving, and how the government has even given us warning that this is going to happen. And of course, with starvation, you're going to have food riots and everything else. And I try to give you some ideas on what you can do. So if you have any ideas, please tell us what we can do, because we really need to know now what we can do to prepare for the coming starvation. So let's go over here and look at what we have. I'm over here at starvation.news. Interesting. And it says severe drought and Dust Bowl conditions threaten to create a disastrous winter wheat harvest in the U.S. And he says, over the last 12 months, the price of wheat has already increased 69%. And now this crisis threatens to go to an entirely new level. I've never seen anything like this. I'm deeply concerned about what the months ahead will bring. And this is an interesting article about Dust Bowl conditions. And then if we go over here to agweb.com, Plains drought to curb U.S. wheat harvest, adding to global supply worries. And again, agweb.com, drought robs Colorado farmers wheat. Now it may be too dry to plant corn this spring. So, with just not only wheat, but corn. And I wanted to show you down here, as you can look at these pictures about how dry it is. But there's an area of 5 states centered on the Oklahoma Panhandle, extending into New Mexico, Texas, southwestern Kansas, and southeastern Colorado, that some people are terming the new Dust Bowl location. And that's because of the preponderance of drought, the wind, and the temperature swings, blowing dust wildfires that we've seen. And if you go down here, just look at this. You can see how brutal it was with all the sand. As we go over here, new photograph shows Pennsylvania grocery store looking like Venezuela. And Tucker Carlson actually said on his program that we are having a food shortage. And he quoted, "Food shortages, they're going to be real." Once again, in case you missed it, to repeat, food shortages, not in Sudan, but in Cincinnati, in Reno, in Spokane, and Norfolk, and of course in our big cities too, where not a single person who was born here has any idea of what a food shortage is. Our problem has always been having too much food. Now we won't have enough. And down here he says, and this is what Tucker said, a food shortage is not like deciding to skip dessert. It's not a diet. It's not voluntary. A food shortage is different. It's scary. Food shortages topple governments. They turn moderates into revolutionaries. A food shortage is a big deal. You don't want one. And then here's a whole article on Tucker Carlson says America may run out of food soon. Gas rationing, food vouchers, and hunger are now being normalized for the war phase of the pandemic. They're starving out the world to usher in their financial reset. And this one from starvation.news, record high meat prices in the U.S., unlikely to recede, experts warn. And they're talking about high meat prices. And down here, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said chicken breasts hit a 16-year high price per pound, $3.82 in February, a rise of 13.2% from last year. Nevertheless, they're far cheaper than $11.65 per pound price of sirloin steak and $4.63 per pound price of ground beef. So we have meat that's going out dramatically. Inflation is going to keep grocery prices high. And you know what that means? That means even if there's food and the prices are so high, you're never going to be able to get it. And this one is very interesting. Peasants in China ordered to clear forests to grow emergency grain supplies in anticipation of global famine. Now, we're not hearing our government say, hey, start growing a victory garden, grow anything you can, any way you can. But China has been storing food and stockpiling grains for over a year now, and now they're telling people, clear the forest, start growing. The food supply is collapsing, and chemical companies are partly to blame. Without fossil fuels, there is no more mass-produced food. And at foodcollapse.com, Senator Roger Marshall predicts a worldwide famine in 1 to 2 years as fertilizer and fuel prices skyrocket. Now, he says, Senator Roger Marshall, who serves on the Senate Agricultural, Energy, and Natural Resources Committee, understands that a blowback will result from these wartime sanctions. He predicts a worldwide famine will begin in the next year or two. Now, what does that mean to you? That means if we're going to have a worldwide famine, there's not going to be food. And if he's right, it's not going to be until the next year or two. That gives you time to prep, to start stocking up, to be ready to at least get as much food as you can in your house as soon as you can. I would bet we're going to have problems before the next year or two. He says this slippery slope has already begun, and it's because of the ban on Russian oil imports. Gasoline prices have risen to historic levels. America and Europe have lost the Russian fertilizer supply. Agriculture will be impacted in ways that make the food supply even more vulnerable than it is. There is actually going to be a famine in 1 to 2 years from now. Now, he serves on this committee. He probably knows more than you know or I know, so we should probably pay attention. I think 2 years from now will be even worse. The famine won't just impact Europe. This will be a worldwide famine. 12 to 15% of the agricultural products, corn, wheat, sunflower oil, come through the Black Sea. Fertilizer comes from that area as well, and as you know, we've been talking about that for I don't know how long. These imports are being cut off and restricted. As the West tries to isolate Russia, there will be serious consequences for people living around the world. So, if it's going to be 1 to 2 years, you have time. I'm thinking it might be sooner than that, and the prices are going to go way up, but start getting as much food as you can. And this is foodsupply.news, World Alternative Media. Global food shortage is part of the Great Reset agenda, and we know that. Great Reset endgame is dire, a full-scale assault on humanity. Now, Brazil is facing potential crop failures due to Russian freeze on fertilizer exports, and I've been reading about Brazil not being able to grow coffee. So if you're a coffee drinker, you might want to stock up on coffee. And then drought threatens U.S. wheat harvest, deepening global supply challenges. High input costs adding to farmers' woes. Planned famine. And that's what gets me, if it's planned. You know, they're out to get us, and it just bothers me that someone would plan this. U.S. government has been paying farmers to destroy crops and livestock for years. And we've heard this over and over again, that they were doing this. And here are a couple videos from farmers who are showing the papers that they got at telling them to destroy their crops and they would be paid. If your family goes hungry, ask your government why it's destroyed the food supply with your tax dollars. And he says right down here, and this is so true, it's almost as if somebody wants food to become scarce so that the people become easier to control, with Putin as the new fall guy. It's the next engineered phase of the pandemic, and we're just going to blame it on Russia. They launch chaos event after chaos event while quietly knocking over the dominoes on purpose, in the background, undetected. So after seeing all these headlines, please, please, please get ready. Don't tell yourself, oh, it's not going to happen here. Oh, I had one more for you. German retailers to increase food prices by 20 to 50% on Monday. This is Sunday, April 3rd, when I'm doing this, and Monday is April 4th. And I know some of you people are saying, that's Germany, that's not the U.S. We're not going to have food prices increase. Yes, we are. Everything is going up. So now is the time for you to get ready. How are you going to do it if you don't have any extra money? Well, do you buy that bag of chips? Instead of buying that bag of chips this week, buy 4 cans of beans, buy rice. Instead of buying the candy and the cookies, cut back on those things and buy some staples that will get you through the hard times, because I think the hard times are coming. And I'm just trying to warn you and hope that you will prepare. And thanks for watching. And please, if you people have any ideas on what we can do besides having our own gardens, that's going to be very important. Learn to grow food inside, microgreens, sprouts, uh, hydroponics. Get a small gardens. Do something. Even if you're in an apartment, grow something on your outside porch. Grow something on the roof. Do something, because I think it's going to get very bad. So comment below. Thanks for watching, and please prepare yourself.